Hello, beautiful people. This is episode, oh no, 13? Is it?
No,
It's 14, right? I'm checking.
but yeah.
14? That's nuts. How could I forget it when I did it like
A second
a
ago?
second ago?
Because you're not bright.
Oh, I'm so tired. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 14. Okay, so there's a lot of lies in this video because it's a reading video, and I was planning on just spending hours reading a ton of shit to help make it easier to edit that mega read of half the Leopold and Brink #4, the novel, The New Angels. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play everything I read, it's only 2 chapters. It's not super long. It's no longer than any of these other goddamn rambling videos. But I'm gonna start with this, which is, this is my mom, and I think the date on here is, oh no, that's the next photo. But the thing about this is my real mom. And so she's watching. This episode is dedicated to you, even though I'm about to say some hardcore shit. I love you, you know I love you, and it's not, whatever. We've gone over this for a lot. But so my biological mom and my biological dad, my dad was rich as fuck, and they gallivanted all over the place all the time, and I have no memories of him. I was told he was a really cool, sweet, gentle, nice, modest guy, but I never liked rich people, so fuck him. Who knows what he was like? Plus, I only got him for so little time. What the fuck was he doing? Anyway, so he left me with Deb here a lot, and she really bonded with me like her own kid, and she's an incredibly sweet person. Anyway, here's the sad bit is when Deb finally got me from my mom in 78 when I was 8, because my mom just was in no shape to take care of anybody, let alone herself, or let alone a kid. Anyway, I never really bonded with Deb like as a mother figure, which sucks. I guess I don't know what what that means, other than I've gone through life thinking I never had a mom. So my biological mom kind of just stopped being my mother at that point, and then Deb, I've always attributed it to Deb's. I think I've told you, Deb, to make sure Pat's not watching this. But her taste in men just sucks. And her first husband, he's a cool, but he's such a bro, and took me on. I've never been a dude, and so it was just not a good match. Although he had his sweet moments. Anyway, after biological mom checks out, Deb meets a new dude, and he's just not my cup of tea. Let's put it that way. We never ever got along. I'm wholly convinced he not only disliked me, but was just not into the idea of being saddled with yet another kid. Anyway, okay, so these 2 chapters, one's really emotional for me. I really like it, the Brink one, and then yeah, it is only 2 chapters, so that's fine. And the other one is fun because it picks up from where we left off on the boat with Leopold, where he still was, and it's also, anyway, fun. It's just, there's some pathos in there. Okay, so this intro is way too long, but I wanted to share this bit with you and let you know that when in the middle of the chapters I talk about, I'm going to cut this and for the next, it's all bullshit. Just ignore the little middle bit. I'm sure those of you who are watching this far anyway enjoy me reading or like my reading stuff. So thank you. Here you go, chapter 5. And I'm not going to do an outro, so I'll say goodbye. I might say goodbye at the end of that, but if I didn't, I love you all, and thank you for stopping by again. Take care of yourself, for sure, and others. Oh man, that's so loud. Why are they doing that?
Vacuuming in the middle of the day?
Yeah, how dare people do chores and work in the daytime. Okay, hello beautiful people. Where the fuck's the camera? Hello. Oh, this is so awkward. I'm setting up a little differently today because I'm gonna read a fuck ton, and It really bothers my sister because she's so mean now. No, because she's read this a million times. She probably hates the sound of my voice, and she's just such an ornery little shit. I can't get her to yell at me. I've lost my touch, guys. It's because I'm so healthy. It's just like, I'm not interested. You're fine. I gotta laugh, though. All right, it's hot already. I hate this. I'm gonna take my jacket off at some point, but let's read. Oh, so I'm gonna read just a ton.
Ugh.
Oh my God! But I'm gonna cut this up so you'll only, whatever I'm saying, you know what I mean. Fix it in post. Is what I mean. So this right now, I'm gonna start with where I left off in chapter 4, where I've learned why I named it that, live, for your pleasure. That sounds so weird already. Okay, here's chapter 5. Hey, they stopped working in the middle of the day. That's nice. This one's called Stormy and Solitaire. That's the name of the chapter title. And you wouldn't know this having bought this book off the shelf, but that's the name of the horses I owned as a kid. This spoiled little fucker had 2 stallions as a kid. It's disgusting. And I'm complaining about my life constantly on this channel. They were beautiful. They were gorgeous, right? One almost killed me by almost stomping my face. I remember him stopping right here. I'm 6. I remember this. That was horrifying. Anyway, there. Okay. So chapter 5, Stormy and Solitaire. The Frisian next door, jet black and moody, was never frightened when lightning struck. She wondered if that's why Mr. Tran named him Stormy. The girl wondered whether it was a problem in his brain. She could see his body react, so it wasn't deafness or any lack in his senses. His best buddy, Solitaire, a Florida cracker, always freaked out during the nights the sky exploded in arteries of purpley white, as he should. She asked Mr. Tran, a geneticist who assisted with the area's feral horse problem, that's real, in Arizona at the time, if she could have him when he died. The horse's owner, who never denied the girl anything when it came to his beloved animals, politely avoided an answer. So we're back in Brink's childhood chapter. It goes it's the Leopold and Brink adventure, present day, and then the Brink story. I think as a reader, you'd totally have figured this out by now, because I still call her the girl, but it's obvious what I'm talking about. Anyway, so before that evening's storm, the day started warm and blue. Tare and the girl spent the afternoon at Arcosanti enjoying an open-air performance of Lysistrata. Oh, this is where this happens. Cool. Well, the girl did, at least. She usually dreaded spending time alone with the bossy and inflexible Tare, and it was no different that day. Tare almost had to drag her to the auditorium seat, insisting she would definitely leave the girl to spontaneously combust in the locked car with the windows up. Tare had been looking forward to the play for almost a year, reminding the girl of that fact several times on the drive south. The girl found herself transfixed by the strange plot, flowing robes, and highly adult themes and costumes. She also noticed Tare being transported. She'd never seen her mother's hard friend look vulnerable before. The happy, dumb look on her face struck her with peculiar disgust. Without thinking, she leapt out of her seat and ran down to the stage, interrupting the actors by clomping around with her arms out like an airplane, shouting with the intonation of the chorus, "This makes no sense, this makes no sense," before simulating a plane crash, and after her role, opening up her arms to the audience to sing, "But it's true, men do suck." The intrusion, deemed adorable by the actors and some of the audience, who may have been familiar with the fact that an ancient Greek audience would be very loud and involved as the play went on, did not amuse Tare. She marched towards the petrified child, lifted her up, carried her back to the car, and drove home silently. The girl felt normal again. Dark clouds came suddenly when they got home, filling the sky with dread. The girl went to see Stormy. She carefully examined his behavior, tried to imagine the world from his point of view, walked around as if her eyes were on opposite sides of her head. The horse, who normally flirted by tossing his long, luscious mane around, ignored her. He stayed deep inside the paddock. She squeezed through the wood fence. Something was bothering Stormy. She felt like it was her fault, as if she smelled wrong. She went home. If you know she's sick, why are you always trying to keep me away from her? She asked Tare, whose shape perfectly blocked the doorway to Semi's room, her mother. She needs to rest, Tare said, roughly tussling the 7-year-old's mass of tangled curly hair. I know you want her all to yourself, but she really loves Rav and always will, the girl said calmly, before stomping away on the wood floor hallway with the same rhythm of her earlier performance. She didn't get far before she could feel the air change and the floor rumble. Over her shoulder, she saw Tare, eyes full of blood coming at her like a rabid animal. Tare spun her around, dug her fingers into her arm, and shoved her broad fingers in the girl's face. She held her words as long as she could, the pressure in her cheeks and forehead bursting like a bursting dam. And then quietly, eyes blind with tears, she said, You disgusting creature. This is your fault. Your mother is dying and it is your fault. Her fingers still trembling and pointing, she released the girl's shoulders. You better be worth this, fucking monster. Her voice trailing as if she'd run out of oxygen. There were no more sounds. Everything was clear and serene, like the end of a torrential rain. The girl felt as if she were falling, as if the world had let go of her. Tara turned around, hiding her tears, her guilt, walked into Kate's bedroom and shut the door behind her. The girl kept tumbling inside. Her knees gave out. She couldn't breathe. Her wide eyes were distant, dry. She walked next door, a hollow saunter. Stormy wasn't outside. There was a lightning strike, but no sound. It was raining somewhere close. She walked towards the dark clouds. The next thing she knew, she woke up on a bus, staring at rain flow across the window like hurtling comets. She got off and stood quietly. By the time the bus left, the rain was gone and the sun was leaving red scars on the horizon. Rav met her at the depot. She had no memory of contacting him. He explained that she could stay the night because they were coming to pick her up very soon. That she couldn't stay the night because they were coming to pick her up very soon. All she paid attention to was the hug Rav gave her, and as soon as she arrived. She held that hug in her mind as she changed her wet clothes, had some soup, paced around waiting, and collapsed on the couch, resting her head on his lap. She opened her eyes to her mother's smiling face. Samil rubbed her forehead with a warm hand, drew her fingers through her hair carefully, fixing the tangles as only she could. She kissed the girl's little nose and squeezed her tightly. She asked her daughter in a gentle tone, Tara said she told you it was your fault I'm sick. Is that what she said? Yes. What do you think she meant by that? I don't care. Kate sat the girl up. I want you to tell me what she meant. Your cancer was caused by growing a monster inside you. Is that what she said? Kate said calmly. That's what she meant. No, Kate said. Sorry. Her name used to be Kate, Catherine. It's not Samil, so forgive me if I mix those up. Kate, Samil. No, Samil said. Keep trying. She sat up straight and answered, You got cancer in your uterus which spread and it was probably sort of caused by me and your earlier pregnancies, the girl said evenly. Nope. That's it. That's what she meant, the girl insisted. Brink, you're already at an age where I can barely keep up with your mind. There is something you must learn or you're going to be lost inside there. I already knew it, Brink said, as soon as I heard where the cancer started. Kate winced. Yes, it's true, I should have known you'd put that together, but let's get something straight. Scientist is scientist, young lady. The reason I have cancer is no one's fault. No one. But the reason I'm dying is because I'm an idiot. Entirely my fault. I ignored perfectly obvious symptoms far too long for a cancer that was pretty beatable. Now, Kate's throat closed up for a moment. She tried to hide the emotion with a cough. Brink fought the instinct to cry. We both know Tare, as smart as she is, Samil continued, evincing an eye roll from Brink. She's extremely intelligent, don't underestimate her, but we both know she wouldn't imagine you'd make that connection this young. You may think all she meant was to hurt you with that knowledge, but that wasn't it. I want you to tell me what it was. What did she really say? I am in unbearable pain losing the person I love, and to dispel some of that pain, I'm going to create a convincing scapegoat, Brink said, her voice trembling and breath straining. Exactly right. Had you figured out that out sooner, you could have saved me a drive in the rain, Kate said, taking Brink's hands. You shouldn't have come, Brink said, doing her best to sound brave. I'm going to live with Rav now. No, you're not. She let out a little laugh cry. I love Ravindra. I love him dearly, and I know you do too, but I will not make two stupid mistakes for your life. Ravindra was in earshot, but left the room to the girls. Tara was outside in the car. The most important thing in the world is that, Kate Samil's throat swelled up, her eyes growing thick and wet. She couldn't hold it in. She shuddered with a deep sob that tore into the core of the girl, who herself fell apart. At this point, Rav intervened, with tissue and water, entering the room like a soft cloud. They drew him closer and all hugged and cried. Kate got herself together, gave Rav a deep kiss, and asked him to give her a few more minutes. He stepped away and found himself wandering outside to speak with Tare. Brink laid against Kate, tucking her under her arm. Sorry. Samil easily hid her body's pain. First of all, I'm not going anywhere for a while, so you can just forget going anywhere, but right here next to me. I'd completely forgotten her mom died of cancer. It's yet another part of this stupid, manifesting that everyone's trying to convince me of. First of all, I'm not going anywhere for a while, so you can just forget going anywhere, but right here next to me. Tare's in big trouble. I'm not so forgiving to adults, as you know, but Tare's strong. I need you protected, safe. That's the most important thing in the world, and Rav isn't well, you know that. He couldn't handle you. Not yet, at least. Brink filed the last phrase. It protected her from the present. When they left, Brink gave Tare a hug. Tare looked as if she'd been eviscerated and needed one. Brink fell fast asleep on the ride home and opened her eyes when she heard a mud-covered Stormy kicking and rubbing against his fence, trying to get Brink's attention. Oh man, I haven't been moved by my own work in a while. It's nice. Anyway, that was chapter 5. Okay, so that's probably for a single video, and I'm going to cut this part out of the long train of me reading half the book, but I'm going to jump now into chapter 6 for the other people, and probably cut to me wearing something different and talking about something else for whatever this. I think this will probably be Monday's video. Anyway, chapter 6. Oh, this is okay. It's called To Lightning, and this picks up from Leopold being left on the boat. Leopold's eyes opened to darkness. Large drops of rain thumped around the cabin like a drunk on a broken drum. A universe-swallowing snore joined in. It was too deep, too grisly to belong to Brink. He stood and almost tripped over another slumbering body, also not Brink. He made his way nervously up creaking steps and was surprised to find himself on a boat. He was also surprised and then disturbed to find a group of men shaking and mumbling at the far end of the deck. Brink wouldn't answer his call, and he couldn't find her anywhere. He started to panic. The dark sky burst into blinding whiteness. Rippling showers of lightning lit the terror and guilt on the men's faces in harrowing strobe. Leopold turned towards the light-scarred night to see what gripped them. A crackling boom of thunder knocked him off his feet. Far off, along the edge of the dark horizon, the sea began to rise. Waves tumbled skyward, a mountain range of water rising up, then smoothing into a long, organic shape, the contour of a man's back. A crouched, impossible liquid behemoth struggled to stand, weighed down by the world falling out of him, rock and coral and fish and mud. As its head began to rise, the lightning came again, golden and thick this time, almost viscous. When it struck, the world slowed. The rain in front of Leopold's face fell like snowflakes. Arcs of dancing electric met the murky water with a deafening pop. The tentacled, xanthinous sparks became two mighty arms, pushing on the shoulders of the aqueous giant. The entire sea began to boil and illuminate, a green glow swirling into a nebula of color beneath the surface. The sky grew brighter than day. Leopold closed his eyes and waited for the world to explode. Everything went quiet. The night was black and still again. The rain fell normally, but soon picked up pace, a brewing storm. Leopold searched more thoroughly for Brink, the dark holds, the sides, the crevices, as growing winds howled about the ship. He shouted, "Where is she? Have you seen a woman? Where is she?" Though he accidentally screamed in English, the crew understood his tone, the sound of a child lost and alone. They didn't ignore him. They were simply consumed by prayer. He looked back out at the sea, and the horizon was once again swollen, this time by a recognizable phenomenon. "There's a wave!" Leopold shouted. "It's coming!" He caught himself this time and pointed. I have it in ancient Greek here. I don't know how to pronounce it or even spell it. But he's saying there's a wave. The men saw it, something they could understand, react to. Mortal instincts moved them about the boat, some on the sail, some on the oars, pointing the boat at the shoreline. The coast was Close, but time was short. Leopold rushed down to the cabin where the old man and his servant still slept soundly. He kicked, then stepped over the man on the floor, but firmly but carefully shook the old man awake. Dyphon was up in an instant and grabbed Leopold's arm. "We have to get off this boat," Leopold told him, pulling out of Dyphon's grasp and helping the old man to his feet. "Come on!" Dyphon ran up the steps to see what could inspire such concern. The wave was almost upon them. It was cresting, creating a low, deafening rumble. Dyphon turned to help his master up the steps and began thanking him for a wonderful life. Leopold cradled the old man in his arms and, to the servant's utter shock, rose, hovering above the deck. Leopold told the servant to grab hold of his neck, hoping to get at least one of the sailors before the wave was on them. Leopold launched into the air, but was just ahead of the wall of water. He couldn't get to any of the crew before the colossal wave sucked up the ship and crushed it as if it was like a squeezing fist. He quickly deposited the still sleeping old man and Dyphon on high rocks along the dark beach, then raced back to the settling tumult, searching desperately for where to dive. The boat hadn't resurfaced. He could see none of the men or hear anyone shouting for help. The sea settled eventually. The rain was a light, dancing drizzle. Leopold hung limply, inches above the green-black surface, lost in a long stare at nothing. He heard the old man's distant cough and returned to the survivors. Dyphon immediately fell to his knees in reverence. The old man looked out at the empty sea and asked, "Where is she?" In Greek, I see. Leopold's eyes went wide. You saw someone with me?" "Of course." I don't know why I have him speaking. He can't speak English, but I guess the tone is working. She wasn't. Tell me she wasn't on the boat," said Leopold. "When I went to sleep," the old man said. Oh, I guess Leopold's speaking Greek. Sorry, so they're both speaking Greek. I'm just writing in English. "I couldn't. Tell me she wasn't on the boat," said Leopold. "When I went to sleep," the old man said, taking a breath, "she was." "No," Leopold said tremulously. He rocketed out to sea, slowing for a moment, unsure where the wreck could be at this point, before he split the surface. He dove deep, searching blindly through the cold blackness. He found the bottom of the sea by crashing into it. He flung himself about, colliding with rocks and tangling in plants. Dyphon pulled on the shivering old man, imploring him to move, but he used what was left of his strength to resist, saying, "We wait." Dyphon pleaded with his master. "He will find us. Gods have their ways to find us. We are close to Brauron by blessing. Please let me get you inside." "This is not the behavior of a god, Dyphon. Open your eyes. This is a boy in the dark who has lost his only light." Leopold came back up spinning, scanning the coast for movement. He saw nothing but settling waves disappearing in the marsh and sand. He searched everywhere. He beat the water. He screamed. He considered racing at the horizon towards the figures now quiet and asleep, but stopped himself. He wasn't exhausted. He put his head down into his sunken shoulders, squeezed the despair out of his eyes, and rose slowly. He knew Brink was fine. She said this could happen. She'll be back, he assured himself. He returned to the survivors, the aide wiping frozen tears, the old man a chalky blue. Dyphon was reverent though urgent. "I implore you, my master needs dry clothes. There is a town very near. We are acquainted with the priest. We are so close, I swear I could smell the wood of his stove." Leopold reached out to lift them again, but Dyphon bowed his head and said with an apprehensive wince, "There is a temple for Artemis there," hoping she and Leopold were on friendly terms. Leopold ignored the question he didn't understand, quickly lifted them again, and hurried to the village. As they traveled, Leopold had to be careful not to break their legs on the treetops. Preoccupied, he barely noticed the tall, sparse trees that covered the countryside. Dyphon pointed out the priest's home. Leopold landed a short distance away from the fire-lit window inside the small mud-brick home and carried the old man to the front door. Dyphon pounded. A gray-haired man with a massive chest and a wide chestnut face welcomed them inside. They stoked the hearth so the room was thick with heat, but Leopold remained numb. He leaned against a wall and stared at the floor. Dyphon pitied him for his loss and sang. The old man regained his strength quickly and went to another room with the man of the house. Leopold felt the song reverberate through his warm body. The warmth and the sound helped him slip into a sleepy calm. The girl came in the front door out of breath and excited. The woman of the house scolded her for barging in, that she had no business there, and in the same breath told her to make the visitors some barley soup. Leopold had noted she had big, familiar eyes. The closer she got to him, the more he felt the warmth of the hearth at the center of the room, smelled the odors of the villager's life, heard the cry of distant wolves and nearby crickets. It made him imagine being stuck in this world, which in turn made him feel dizzy and sick. He had an impulse to walk out the door and keep going in one direction forever. The men came back out and everyone sat. Leopold had a few mouthfuls of soup and even less of the wine. He didn't speak, but he could follow what few things were said, all of which in some way pertained to this mysterious girl. After dinner, the family said a prayer in honor of the sailors and expressed tactful joy that their friend, whom they shared many meals with before, had survived. They were careful not to mention Brink. The omission meant to imply she was fine, which Leopold assumed was one of the things the old man discussed with the man of the house. The man of the house stretched and yawned. The old man took Leopold outside. I do not know what you are, but from the short time I knew your companion, I know you are special to her and that you must be in great pain. She's fine, Leopold said, trying to end the conversation. I hope what you say is true, he said, taking Leopold's hand. She told me to meet her in Athens if something like this happened. If you're okay and you don't mind, I'll go there now. This is indeed a fateful day, he went on. The young one inside is in need of an escort. She is to be delivered to Delphi by way of the great city. I would be deeply grateful if you could chaperone and deliver her. Now? No, they will not allow her to travel at night. You should feel welcome making this your home. You will be given a comfortable bed. Leopold put his hands on his head and squeezed his eyes, hoping to wake up. The girl's guardians are in your debt. You are free to do whatever you wish. I'll see you in the morning, Leopold said as he walked away. I will tell them. Leopold lifted up into the air and looked around the strange little village. There was a strong smell of wood smoke on the damp night air. As fires extinguished, the homes disappeared into the dark. That's chapter 6. Okay. I'm going to take a break. Give my sister a break. And I'm going to send this to my aunt/mom, who's been dying to know what happened to Leopold. Okay, I'm just going to say goodbye for now and come back soon.